One thing that I am so tired of hearing when I tell people that I'm a realtor is the response that they give, "You must be busy." Well, I'm always busy. I've actually been busy for quite some time, but what exactly does busy mean? In this video, I'm going to break down some information about the market here in Montgomery County, and we're going to talk a little bit about how the pandemic has changed the real estate market, and we're also going to use this information to determine or help us gauge how the real estate market here in Montgomery County might go in 2022. Now, I know a lot of the real estate content that I create is hyper local, but some of it does apply to different markets. So this information is going to be specific to the real estate market here in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. But again, it may apply loosely to some of the surrounding counties like Philadelphia, Chester, Berks, and Bucks. But before we jump into any of that, a little bit of house cleaning. I'm Chris Nelson with Genstone Realty, team lead of the Nelson Home Group, and this channel is all about real estate advice, tips, and tech. So if any of that excites you, you're in the right place, but do me a favor, drop me a comment, hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing, and mash that bell so you're notified of my future content. So as I mentioned, this video is going to break down the real estate market over the last 3 years. Since I want to focus on how the real estate market has changed since the pandemic, then it's necessary for us to go back and look at some of the data from 2019. So for some of this information, I'm going to work from 2021 back to 2019. And then for some information, I'm going to work from 2019 up to 2021, just so that we can get a better picture of exactly how the market has changed. So first, let's talk about how many sales there were in Montgomery County. Now, when I'm talking sales, I'm talking about both attached and detached real estate. So as long as it has a tax ID number and it's sold within these years, these are the numbers that I'm actually referring to in this video. Now, in 2019, we had 11,397 sales. Now in 2020, believe it or not, the number was extremely close. As a matter of fact, it only changed by 5 sales overall. And by the end of the year, we ended with 11,392 sales, or 5 less than the previous year. But if we jump to 2021, the amount of sales jumped from the previous year of 11,000 some odd, all the way up to 12,527 sales. It's a pretty significant jump, especially if you look at the fact that the numbers dipped a little bit from 2019 to 2020. Now, yes, we were shut down for several months in PA in 2020. So of course that did impact the bottom line, but just again, comparing year to year, you can see there is a significant difference. But now what about sales volume as far as the money goes? How much money was there when it comes to real estate that was sold? Now in 2019, we had literally just over $4 billion in real estate transactions in Montgomery County. And then in 2020, that number jumped almost 11% to $4.4 billion in sales. So again, we dropped about 5 sales from 2019 to 2020, but you can see there was a pretty significant increase in value. But what happened from 2020 to 2021? In just that short time, we saw an increase of almost 21%. We went from roughly 4.4 billion in sales in 2020 to 5.3, almost 5.4 billion in sales in 2021. So again, pretty significant jump, 10%, almost 11% from 2019 to 2020, and 21% from 2020 to 2021. Another interesting thing to look at is the amount of days on market. How long did it take for a property to go under contract from the time it hit the MLS? Now in 2019, sellers were averaging about 43 days on market when under contract or had an offer that they felt as though was reasonable. In 2020, that number dropped to 34 days on market, and last year in 2021, that number dropped again to roughly 22 days on market. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the days on market specifically for 2021, because I noticed something that changed in the way a majority of realtors were marketing their properties. And that is, we saw a lot of properties hit the MLS as active, but they couldn't be shown for either several days or maybe even weeks. Now, this is a marketing ploy that a lot of realtors did, an attempt to get more eyes on the property, more activity right out of the gate. But I honestly think that that greatly skewed the average days on market. And my guess or my gut is that properly priced homes in Montgomery County probably would have gone under contract in less than 1 week. But again, the numbers show that 22 days on market was the average for homes in Montgomery County for 2021. Another thing that I want to look at or discuss is the average list price for homes in each one of these years, and also the ratio in which they sold for. How much did they sell for in comparison to their list price? Now, in 2019, the average list price for Montgomery County was about $355,600 and some odd dollars. And back in 2019, sellers were seeing or getting roughly 96.4% of their asking price. So in 2019, if you listed a home for $100,000, on average, offers were coming in at $96,400. So they weren't full asking price. And again, they were roughly 3.5–4% off of list price. But if you take a look at the numbers in 2020, the average list price jumped to about $391,000. And we also saw an increase in the ratio, and sellers were seeing about 97.6% in comparison to their list price. So again, using the same numbers, if you listed for $100,000, on average, the offers were coming in at about $97,600. But here's the kicker. Take a look at 2021. In 2021, the average list price skyrocketed to about $429,600 and some change, and sellers were getting over ask price. The average was about 101.2% over ask. So once again, using the same scenario of $100,000 list price, on average, those offers would come in at about $101,200. So pretty significant difference over the span of just 2 years when it comes to what sellers can anticipate to get for their home if it's properly priced in Montgomery County. All right, so now let's take a step back. We established earlier that in 2021, there were just over 12,000 sales, 12,500, something along those lines. But of those 12,500 homes, 5,010 sales were actually attached homes. So if you were a row home, a condominium, anything along those lines, you fell in that group. But there were 7,514 single-family detached homes that sold in 2021. Now in 2020, we saw about 4,405 attached sales and 6,987 detached sales. So a pretty significant variance. But the crazy thing is that a lot of people, when you talk to them about real estate in the pandemic, you hear a lot about urban flight and people wanting more space. Well, those numbers, that last set of numbers, actually paints a different picture. There was an influx, there was an increase in the amount of attached home sales in 2021 in comparison to 2020. But now in 2019, we saw 4,370 attached homes and 7,027 detached homes. So even from 2019, we are seeing an increase in the overall amount of sales for attached homes. So again, me personally, I like space, and I definitely understand the logic behind the pandemic creating an opportunity or creating more demand for single detached homes. But again, the numbers are the numbers. And the last thing I want to break down in this video, the means of financing or lack thereof. And what I mean by that is how many homes sold either cash, conventional, FHA, or VA in each one of these years. So let's start with 2019. In 2019, of the 11,397 real estate transactions, 2,078 of those were cash transactions. 7,407 were conventional sales, 1,302 were FHA sales, and 329 were VA sales. Now, pay attention to the FHA and VA sales because again, we all know, or people have said that recently it has been extremely difficult for FHA and VA buyers to get their offer accepted. So pay attention to what happened from 2019 to 2020 into 2021. Now, in 2020, we had 11,392 sales, and of those sales, 1,892 were cash, 7,904 were conventional, 1,048 were FHA, and 319 were VA. Now, 2021 is where you see a significant difference, in my opinion. Of the 12,527 sales in 2021, 2,621 of those sales were cash transactions. 8,606 were conventional, 804 were FHA, and 303 were VA. So as you can see, there is a pretty significant drop off for FHA and VA funded transactions when you look at it from 2019 into 2020 and then again into 2021. And there's also a pretty significant increase for cash transactions from 2019 to 2020, but most significantly in 2021. So in my opinion, I think that we're going to see a lot of these same factors in 2022. A lot of the key factors are still there. We have low inventory. We still have very attractive interest rates. We have a lot of qualified buyers out there looking for homes. So the supply demand factor is still significantly off. And well, again, like I said, all of the key factors are there. So that's it, my friends. I'm not even gonna say it's my opinion this time. Most of my videos are opinion based, but the numbers are the numbers. So I will do better or try to provide numbers for Montgomery County and maybe some of the other surrounding counties a little more often, and probably from a month to month perspective. But there you have it. There's 2 years of data, 3 years of whatever the number equates to for you to digest. So if you have any questions about the real estate market, whether it be here in Montgomery County or any of the surrounding counties, feel free to reach out. Again, I am Chris Nelson with Genstone Realty, team lead of the Nelson Home Group. And I hope this information has been of value to you, and I hope to see you around on one of my other videos. Till then, take care.